This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 1707, Comic Talk!
You got it on Wednesday, and you was talking about it going to the ball club. These guys will talk about it, everything that geeks love. From tapes to laser beams, opinions like the seasons on everything you read. And comics, movies, games, toys, artists, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek. Uniting the world's mightiest heroes. This is...
I'm Brian Chrisman.
I'm Shane Kelly.
I'm Adam Murdo.
And I'm Chris Eberly.
With Spider-Man.
What do you mean with Spider-Man?
He had Amigo's Spider-Man flying all over the screen.
Oh, okay. So
it's raining.
Yeah, I know. It's
I'm okay with
it's
that.
Thursday, August 2nd, 2018 AD, and and here in PA, we're in the middle of, a week-long wet spell?
Yeah.
With another week in sight? Pretty much
Yeah.
it'll just rain every day at some point?
Yep.
How's your lawn?
I don't know. The kids do it. They want to save up for different things they want to get and do. So I'm like, all right, mow the lawn.
Okay.
They're old enough. Hell, Ben's taller than me now by 4 or 5 inches.
Seriously?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He started to catch up last July to where he was just about as tall as me, and in that year, he's just shot up exponentially.
Wow. All right, well, this will be our time-tested comic talk where we go all over the place. What do you say, loosey-goosey, timey-wimey?
Yeah, loosey-goosey, timey-wimey.
There's-
Wibbly-wobbly.
Yeah, there may or may not be any spoilers. We'll try to forewarn this forearm.
Yeah. Sometimes we blurt stuff out without thinking about it.
Yeah, well, we've already talked before about some things we won't talk about. But it's been a while since we've had one of these shows, so I know Chris talking about Steve Ditko passing.
Yes. Well, he passed away on June 29th. And the manner in which he died didn't surprise me, considering how he lived. He died in isolation in his apartment / studio. He's 90 years old, and he was found by the police. And since Steve Ditko was a recluse, it's not surprising and fitting that he passed in that fashion. I mean, what can you say? We've talked about him many times on the air and different spotlights and so forth. I mean, he's for me, one of the most important artists in the American comic book medium. His distinctive style, the way he incorporated elements of sci-fi, mystery, noir, creepiness in general. I think nobody drew regular people better than Ditko did, in that he made people look very mundane, even very ugly. When you saw, crowd scenes and people looking agog at, Spider-Man and one of his opponents above their heads, I mean, you really believed those were just regular, everyday, denizens of whatever city, well, New York City in this case, that he was illustrating. I mean, when you think about the breadth of his work, I mean, primarily, of course, he's most famous for Marvel, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. He also worked on Iron Man. He actually designed Iron Man's red and gold armor. He worked on the Hulk. He also worked for Charlton. He did extensive work for them after he left Marvel. He also did work briefly with DC, and one of Murd's favorites, The Creeper, was conceived by Ditko, as well as Hawk and Dove. I was terribly sad to hear that he had passed. I mean, granted, he was quite old, but his impact can't be overstated. But of course, also, he was a man of very strong principles. It's kind of funny, whenever I read about Steve Ditko and sort of the way he viewed life, and this is pure fanciful talk here, because this would never have happened, but I wonder if I'd ever met him and got to know him, I don't know if I actually would have liked him. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, as an artist, his impact is incalculable. And later in his career, as he really got into Ayn Rand's objectivist philosophy, you saw that reflected in his work into his later Spider-Man stories that he was drawing and co-plotting. Later characters at The Question, and then of course Mr. A. He had a very strong, I think it's fair to say, a black and white notion of how one applies the concepts of justice and earning from your labor and so forth. That's a very off the top of my head type of comments, but There's so many great books you can read about Ditko. BBC did a wonderful documentary, In Search of Steve Ditko, which I highly recommend, which ends with Neil Gaiman actually getting into Ditko's apartment studio to actually see him briefly. Gaiman was a guest on that show. There's a lot of great Fantagraphics, Top Shelf, other companies have done books about him and have also reproduced a lot of his lesser-known work. A lot of like his monster stories or sort of mystery, sci-fi, noir stories that appeared in like Marvel Atlas stuff and Charlton and so forth. So, unfortunately, we're at a point now, and this has been happening for the past several years and even decades. A lot of these great creators we talked about over and over again, they're all passing away now. And this is one of the real giants of the medium. So, rest in peace, Steve Ditko.
There was a great picture that I saw, and I changed my Facebook profile picture to
yes,
it of Blue Beetle. I forget what it said exactly at the top. Adam commented on it the one time, but whatever it was perfect. It was a gorgeous Blue Beetle picture, so I was thrilled to find it online and post it.
Yeah, I do think I don't remember exactly what the image's caption said either, Shane, but it spoke to mortality and the human condition in a way that was just beautifully fitting to the occasion. The fact that the creator of that character had passed on. So, well-chosen image there, Shane.
Yeah, it was cool.
And we've always harped on the show about, if you are at a show or you meet a creator that you enjoy the work, and you'll go up to him and just say thank you.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it was pretty hard to do that with Steve Ditko, but I've seen so many people online posting that they have been able to send him letters, and he hand wrote them responses back many times. A few people, including our friend who used to work at DCBS, Zach Cruzy, last year made a trek to go meet him and met him. And I know how much that meant to Zach to do that. And I have to imagine, whether he cared or not, that Mr. Ditko knew people appreciated his work. I'm sure he got a lot of that. I'm not sure how much he, cared for that, so forth. But
And I have one of the artist's editions. There were two of them out, right, for him?
For Ditko?
I thought.
No.
Okay.
For Ramita, yes.
No, I don't think I have.
And there's been some talk of having, Ditko artist editions. And that's the thing, from my knowledge of original art collecting. If you want an amazing Spider-Man page drawn by Steve Ditko from the original run in the 60s, you're going to start at maybe 40,000. You might start at. Yeah. Even that's without Spidey on it, just from my limited knowledge in that. And, it's law of supply and demand, and the demand, good God almighty.
Yeah.
Ditko himself didn't have a great deal of respect for his own past work. He liked to keep on moving forward to new artistic challenges. I heard an anecdote about how he had a couple of old pages of Journey into Mystery art or one of the early anthologies that Marvel did lying around his apartment, and he was just using it for scrap paper, basically. He just didn't have that much interest in preserving it.
Wow.
So that might be one of the things contributing to the scarcity of Ditko original pages.
Well, I think that's definitely the case, Murd. I mean, I've heard the same story. I've read it many times, where he would, draw on the back of art, or you kind of cut it up, use it as backer boards or whatever. So, but what Pat's saying about the letters, that's totally true. My old friend John Paul, who runs the New Jersey ComicBookShows.com, he does 2 shows a month in New Jersey for over 20 years. He's shown me letters from Steve Ditko, either he received or like someone traded or sold to him or something like that. Or like people are asking him questions or asking him to appear at events, and he writes back, and they're very polite, but basically it's sorry, not interested. And actually, Pants, I'm going to jump away for a second because I want to check my library out. There's a book about Ditko I want to recommend. I'll be right back. I wanted to just give people the title.
Sure.
I'll be right back. Just resume. I'll be right there.
Absolutely. I wanted to bring up something else for Adam. I don't know if you've seen this news, Adam. Have you?
No.
It's not,
Probably not.
It's not good news. Have you heard about DC pulling the Monstrous Society of Evil?
Get out.
Have they given a reason for doing this?
I'm reading off of comicbook.com. After careful consideration, DC announces that the Shazam! The Monstrous Society of Evil Deluxe Edition hardcover is canceled due to concerns over its contents. The title will not be resolicited.
Huh.
Well, I guess there are a couple of elements in that story that might not translate that well to a modern audience. It was done during wartime. There might have been some unflattering caricatures of Japanese people, which is something that Fawcett tried to avoid doing, but in wartime, I think they were kind of drawn along in the uncomplimentary current of wartime sentiment. There was a bad guy named Nippo, who was just a flat-out evil Japanese elevated sandal-wearing, buck-toothed, sickly yellow-skinned caricature. Absolutely racist. So maybe because of that, and there probably were a few other ethnic caricatures or stereotypes like that. That might be what they mean by objectionable content.
Well,
so
I can certainly see their reasoning there.
It was reprinted, 40 years ago, in the 70s, I think, in a...
something like that.
I want to say the 80s. It was some kind of library collection.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just so I'm back. My apologies, gentlemen. So the book, just to jump back to Ditko for a moment, because this is a wonderful book on his career. It's called Strange and Stranger, The World of Steve Ditko by Blake Bell, printed by Fantagraphics. That came out in 2008. It's got reprints of all kinds of Ditko art. It goes through his entire life. If someone's interested in really, reading up on Ditko and just the impact of his career and to get a wonderful eyeful of his work, this is a book I highly recommend. It's outstanding. So that's called The World of Steve Ditko.
Excellent. Let's see. I have a few things to bring up in case anybody has anything you want to jump in. Shane, because you're sort of limited for time.
I'll jump in with two things.
Certainly.
One was I was absolutely blown away by the announcement of the Clone Wars cartoon coming back on somewhere.
How long's that been out?
Oh,
Not
been
since the last season.
5 years, something like that, because Rebels was 4 seasons, maybe 5 seasons long, and it was at least 6 months or a year before that happened when it ended. And then in the interim, they had the Lost episodes that came out, which I've never seen yet. They came out on DVD, Blu-ray, whatever. So I do still want to track those down to watch. But yeah, I'm totally blown away that they're coming back out with a way to finish the series properly. And knowing what No, I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
I was blown away. It'll be a lot of fun to revisit that universe in that way again. I loved Rebels. I think it's an outstanding show. But it'll be neat to see how they decided to close out Clone Wars and come back with however many episodes they're going to do. The other thing is I'm somewhat excited but hesitant about it. I saw the information about the DC streaming service that you can sign up for, and I want to do it because unlike so I have and we talked briefly about this. I have Netflix, I have Amazon Prime, and watch a bunch of stuff on both of them constantly. I don't have, say, the CBS thing because as much as I want to see this new Star Trek show, I don't have any other interest in anything else on CBS really, so I don't want to pay for just one show yet. Maybe somewhere down the road, we'll see. But come to talk about Disney's coming out with their own service as well as DC certainly coming out with theirs. There's so much cross-media, so many shows, cartoons, movies. DC's talking about having comics on there that you can read.
Yeah,
there's so much out there that's going to be out there for it. I don't own everything that DC's ever produced, movie, cartoon, and TV-wise. I just don't.
Right. Well, it's kind of hard to get everything.
To get everything. And there's a lot of it out there now.
Oh, sure.
So I'm very interested in that because of having the access to be able to rewatch that stuff at will. And all the new stuff that's coming out. There's Swamp Thing, Titans, Harley Quinn.
Stargirl at some point.
Stargirl was just announced. I mean, there's a multitude of new shows coming that just interest me to no end. So I'm very interested that I was wondering if any of you guys were looking at doing it as well.
Pass.
Yeah.
Ditto.
Gentlemen, I apologize. I have a family issue I have to sign off, unfortunately.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that. Just something came up that I need to deal with.
All right.
Go ahead.
But again, my apologies. My apologies to the audience. But teenagers. So,
Family man, we understand.
No, we do.
yeah. But gentlemen, I'll see you all. I'll talk to you all as soon as I return from my vacation. We'll reconvene.
Okay.
You got it.
Sounds good.
All
Have
right,
fun.
brothers. Take
All
care.
right. All right.
Bye.
Bye. I don't always get to just sit down and watch TV anymore. I watch it whenever I get a minute, even if it's washing dishes. I got my phone or an iPad set up watching something. As
We can steal a minute or two as well. You do that.
And it doesn't matter to me. Like, I don't sit there and calculate, I need 45 minutes to watch this whole entire show. I just, 15 minutes I have, that's what I watch it. If I start something before I go to work, I watch it for 15 minutes, catch a little bit at lunch or catch some in the evening, whatever it works out to. So I am interested in it because of all the things I love about all the various multimedia things DC has out there. I'm just curious to get more information about exactly what's going to be out there. If it's out there and it's going to be out there always, or will it be rotating like what Netflix or Amazon Prime has things come on and off all the time through their services. So I was glad to get some more information about it, but yeah, I'm curious to see just how well it does, how many people actually sign up for it, which even I didn't do yet. I'm planning on it, but I didn't do it yet.
Because you mentioned there's the early. Is that still in play? The early
As
bird
far
special.
as I know, I didn't look in the last week. It was last week when I checked it. It was like $75 for 15 months, which isn't bad.
No,
All things being
you
equal.
can probably get $5 a month out of that service somehow.
Yeah. So
Okay. I'm going to dig a little bit into the CGS archives as I'm going with this next thing here. So I think I might have mentioned to you guys that I'm considering seriously, selling my comics, whether not necessarily all at once, but maybe piecemeal or what have you. Or I'm not sure the best way to do it or whatever, because I've got almost 25,000 comics in my home, and I have a lot of Silver Age DC runs that go way back. Like with the exception of the 105 issue, I have the entire Barry Allen Flash run, no pun intended. There are so many key issues in there. I go back with Batman, Detective, Action, Superman, World's Finest, Showcase, Brave and the Bold, Adam and Hawkman, Justice League. So I go way back. So I have a decent collection. Now, again, most of it is reader copies. I do have the occasional gem. Like, I was going through my Flash issues, and I came across a really nice copy of the first Reverse Flash appearance. So I may get that took a grade and see what happens with that. When I have some time, I've been trying to find the energy to go through my comic collection and organize it or find things.
And it can be daunting.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even just my small collection is daunting at times to do something like that.
So I've been going through, and when I find a key book, I pull it out and put it aside. Sure. Well, some of my books, I know what's in the boxes. Some I don't. So I thought, you know what? Let me see if I can find All-Star Comics 58. When the series was revived, the series in the 70s, that was the first Power Girl appearance, which is not a pretty decent book. I looked at my database. I know what box it is in. Oh, my God, there's the box. Yoink, grab the box and pulled it out. And it was actually not awful, but not in the best condition, a bit of a rolled spine. So, okay, but I pulled it aside. And I'm going through the rest of the box. I was like, man, I want to start reading some of these things. Here's All-Star Comics. There's my All-Star Squadron run. Oh, man, I got to that. That's next on my list, probably. Then I found America versus the Justice Society, again, the A. Now, I had issues 2, 3, and 4 there. One is missing. I know I have it in my house, but I'm not sure where it is. But then after that, I came to Animal Man, which I had never read.
The Grant Morrison stuff?
Yes.
Okay,
and I have the whole run. Don't ask me why I do these things about getting... Well, actually, one of the reasons... Oh, I'm going to keep going back and forth to talk to Adam about this. And Adam asked me, what percentage of my books have I read? A valid question. And so I thought about it. It's like, not as much as I would like. As I was collecting these books, going back into the Silver Age, my working theory in my head was, I'll get to a point when I'll start reading the books in order of when they came out. Like, here's July of 1955. I'm going to read the Action Comics, the
And
Batman,
then, sure.
and go through all that. That was my plan. Well, I just never got around. I read the occasional book here and there, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I never got to read that far back. So it's like, I need to start reading these books. And when I saw Animal Man, I remembered there is a classic episode of Comic Geek Speak from December of 2005, a Book of the Month Club on the first volume of Animal Man trade, which collected issues 1 through 9. Now, that was the pre-pants era of Comic Geek Speak, and Shane, you were out sick for that episode. Adam was on it, Brian Deemer, Peter Rios, Jamie D., Matt, and we had a call-in from big Morrison fan Jeff Clark.
Yep.
I binged all 26 issues, including the Secret Origins of Morrison's Animal Man run, so I read it all. But I wanted to hear this episode because I heard so much about it. So the episode was a lot of fun, mainly talking with Brian and Jeff and others about issue 5, The Coyote Gospel, which is an acclaimed issue of the run I've been finding out, acclaimed issue of comics for many people. Now, Adam was on that show, but Shane, have you...
I read it back then, getting ready for that episode, but I don't remember much about it. I mean, I still have the trades.
It was only like my 3rd or 4th appearance on Comic Geek.
Yeah, you're a youngster.
Through grad school then.
But, oh my God, the first 4 issues was originated to be a mini-series, and then they decided to have the series go on. And I dug those first 4 issues. Coyote Gospel, I had to thank God that Jeff Clark was there to explain to me all the various things. And I'm a little bit in Brian Deemer's camp. Not as much, but he was talking about he's a surface reader. He doesn't delve deep into the nuances and things. And there was a lot of things laid out in that issue that go on the rest of his run, which I understand. And I didn't actually catch all of them, but having listened to Jeff Clark talk about it and Peter and others, I thought, okay, well, that's why I like listening to other people's opinion, because I miss a lot of things.
That's what helped me with, not to sound weird or change to just a different series, but when I read Starman, I started at like issue 40, 50, something like that.
That's right.
And then, and it all started with trying to find something easy to do for a Halloween costume. And that was something manageable. So I got a copy, got the costume together, and then I read the issue. And I'm like, oh, well, this wasn't too bad, and read through it. Then I got the back issues I was missing, because from that point forward I got it. Once I read that issue, I kept going. Then I got all those issues I was missing, read it, and everything that was happening that I had read, how I got to see how much he laid out in those first 30, 40 issues that came to fruition through the whole rest of the series. I don't know if I would have necessarily remembered it going issue by issue by issue all those years, 5, 6 years, whatever it was. But to binge the first 30 issues, well, I could catch a lot more of it that way. So that was great.
Yeah, that's so many things I've either watched or read. And it happened to me with Strangers in Paradise. Reading it in collected editions, I can't imagine how fans like Jamie went to waiting for the next issue to come out. The suspense, the cliffhangers, the storylines, the back things. Things are brought back from early on that you go, oh my God. And so I got the Morrison thing was cool to get that all in one chunk there. Yeah. And I could sort of see what he was doing. And he even put himself into the story. I'm like, okay, wow, this is just... Murd, did you ever finish Morrison's run on Animal Man?
Yes, I'm quite sure I've read all of it by now.
Is there anything you can add to this conversation? I really dug the stuff with the Psycho Pirate in there. How about you?
Well, yeah, Well, one of the issues with Psycho Pirate in it was called Crisis 2, so naturally that would have been on my radar. I'm pretty sure that story found its way into my thesis somewhere. But yeah, it's Morrison. He was rather a sensitive soul back in those days, between his interest in animal rights activism, which informed the whole of his his Animal Man run, and he sort of felt empathy for all these minor DC characters who were retconned out of existence, and even for the versions of more important characters like Buddy Baker himself, who were deemed unworthy of survival and were sentenced to death and or limbo, or by the DC Comics powers that be. So this story was kind of his way of showing the existential horror of something like a continuity reboot or a mass retcon of a company's character library. And so we got to see a few fairly minor DC Comics characters who hadn't been seen for years show up for a kind of a strange bonus turn. Like you saw the Green Team and Ultra the Multi-Alien just kind of languishing in limbo there.
Yep.
You got to see a few characters of Morrison's own invention who I think have now gotten themselves kind of in more or less official place in the new multiversal mode of reality, like the Sunshine Superman and Magic Lantern, and they're now a part of one of the new the new 52 Earths, the same one that has Prez as the immortal teenage president on it. And they made their appearance in one of those Psycho Pirate issues in the late Morrison run. So yeah, that's one of my favorite. It's probably in my top 20 favorite comic stories ever. Those last few issues of Morrison's Animal Man run, when things got really meta and self-reflexive, and when Morrison himself finally introduces himself to Buddy in person.
Yeah,
I'm saying this with my cat lying here on my bed next to me, just as Morrison had his cat by his side. He talked to Buddy.
And of course, at that time, Morrison had hair.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
I was taken aback. So wait a minute. Oh my God! I this is like 1990 or something like that when this came out. It's like he actually had hair.
Yeah, 1990. Jeez.
Wow. But yeah, and maybe even look back to like comic book DB for like who these people were. Mm-hmm. And then there's even a story earlier with, and I forgot at the same time, Animal Man was also in the JLE, Justice League Europe.
Yep.
And there was an issue where he met with some of those people, Metamorpho, Elongated Man, and they battled the Time Commander, who really only appeared in like 2 Brave and the Bold issues in the 60s. It's like, wow, Morrison's really doing these deep cuts. So. And then I remembered, oh my God, that's right, Time Commander appeared in 52.
Oh, I forgot that.
Yeah, I was like, oh man. So that was a lot of fun digging back and getting to read some stories.
Sure.
And I did eventually read All-Star Comics 58. I dug my copy out and read that. I think I read it probably once before. But I just dug, first of all, the newsprint, the smell. I'm sure you
Oh, gosh, yeah. The weather lately, there was one evening where it was perfect humidity, and I walked up and opened the door to where my comics are, and you could just waft that comic book store smell. Mm-hmm.
Because I have in my hands my copy of it, and there's like a full-page ad in here for Shrunken Head, a Milton Bradley thing with Vincent Price on the box. There's a huge one-page ad for the $6 Million Man.
I had everything on that page.
All those toys and the Buying Action Club.
Yep.
Oh, love
I wasn't
that.
part of the club, but I had all those toys.
There's references back, there's editor's boxes. Go back to see JLA 102 with the 7 Souls of Victory.
Yep.
That's where they get Star Spangled Kid from in here. There's a Batman Hostess Pies ad.
Sure. There's
a letter column page, which they sent out early black and white copies to, and they got responses from Roy Thomas and Jerry Bales.
Wow.
Love reading that. Just, God, there's an ad in here for Evel Knievel. Well, on the back, the whole Evel Knievel thing. So, I mean, I went down the rabbit hole with some of these comics. Was it a Big Jim? Yeah, Big Jim's Pack, Shane. Full-page ad in there. There's an ad in here that says it's Superman's birthday, and you can celebrate with us at the Super DC Convention. A super celebration, a gathering of all that's great in DC Comics. It says here, meet your favorite superheroes and the editors, writers, and artists who chronicle their adventures. Watch as a comic is created before your eyes and see the world's largest, most fabulous collection of original comic art. Hours of movies and cartoons starring the DC superstars and behind-the-scenes secrets of their filming, plus more exhibits, events, and unusual happenings than even we can imagine. Wow, this was held in Commodore, New York, in February of 1976. This is what took me back here. So now I'm going to start digging deep into my my comic collection, and I'm trying to think of where I'm going to go next. Well, I mean, it depends on what I can find.
Yeah. Talk about things that are old like that. I took Matt, my young Matt, to go see Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
I saw that as well.
Oh, my God. I laughed the whole time. All the little nuanced old things they stuck in there, old covers, old books, characters, little hidden Easter eggs of stuff. I thought it was great. I hope anybody who has half an inclination goes to see it. It really was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. I'm going to keep going on, if I may. So the other day I'm sitting at home, and I hear the mailman come, puts mail in a slot, pauses a second, and then I hear something else like thump. It's like, wait a minute, that's a package. What's going on here? So I go down, and sure enough, there's a package between the doors. And I said, I didn't order anything. What's this from? It's from Tomorrow's.
Yeah.
And it's to my home address, not the studio. So what I got in the mail, which I talked about on the air and actually forgot to order, I got the DC Implosion book.
Oh, wow.
Called Comic Book Implosion, an oral history of DC Comics circa 1978. That's why it was on my mind, 78.
Sure.
Oh, my God, I'm almost halfway through this book. I mean, I'm over halfway through this book already. This is a treasure trove of information about some minutia and stuff, but all about what happened with DC Comics in 1978, where they had all these titles. It was a DC explosion, and then within 3 months, it was an implosion. It had a lot of books canceled. That's where Canceled Comics Cavalcade comes from. But there's some really neat things in there. Actually, it's all told from, it's an oral history. It's people telling things either present or from at that time that are reflected in order here, and it's amazing. There's so many things in here I can talk about. I'm going to touch on a couple of things here. First of all, one of the things that I didn't realize, which happened because of this, was comic book pricing was like 10 cents all the way through the early 60s. And the pricing wasn't keeping up with magazines like Life and Time. They were going up quarter, 30, 50 cents a dollar, what have you there. Comics weren't. And there was very little profit being made on the comics. So eventually comics went to 12 cents, 15 cents. But in the 70s, it was every 18 months, 20 cents, 25 cents, 30, 35. And there's really, talk about minutia in there, like content, page rates. And the behind-the-scenes business I was astonished by. I wish I had more of a business sense to understand a lot of that stuff there. But that was fascinating. Listening to or reading Tony Isabella talking about Black Lightning and how he got screwed over and other things that happened. There was even a character that was going to predate Black Lightning that he did not write. It was called Black Bomber, which, oh my God, just the concept of what that was. Let me see if I can find that page in here, because when I read about that, it's and I think Tony Isabella was the guy who said, you might not want to publish that. Well, I can't find it, but from my recollection, go Google it, the Black Bomber. It was just, I can't believe that even got as far as it did with scripts. And there was another talking about, the TV shows at the time. Of course, there was the Wonder Woman TV show.
Yep.
And initially, it started out showing Wonder Woman in the World War II era.
Yep.
And it came to modern eventually. Well, DC, and this is unbeknownst to me because I haven't read these issues, Wonder Woman, starting with issue 228, had the Earth 1 Wonder Woman go to Earth 2, and I guess she came home, but from 228 to 242, it was all about the Earth 2 Wonder Woman stories in World War II to go along with a TV show.
That's kind of interesting.
I
do have at least one of those. I know that I have one Wonder Woman issue from that era showing Wonder Woman and Jay Garrick on the cover.
Yes, yeah. At the Statue of Liberty, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, But fascinating book, and I was like, how did this it came to my house. I don't know how it got there. I have an idea, but if that was you, Eric, kudos to you. Like I said, I'm diving into this thing, and I forgot that Larry Hama was an editor at DC at that time.
Yeah.
There's anecdotes near stories talking about like Len Wein and Marv Wolfman and Paul Levitz and Jenna Kahn, and talk about Joe Orlando, and there's just so many things. If you're a comic book historian of any sense, this is right up your alley. So I'm already over halfway through, and it's my copy. It came to my house, not the studio. It's mine, damn it. I could keep going on if you want me to.
No, but the last time we were together talking on the show and stuff, I was in a good routine of reading a book a night at least.
Uh-huh.
The last couple weeks, just maybe even a month, haven't worked out that way.
No.
So I've gotten behind on my reading again. So I got to sit down sometime soon and catch up on all that.
Okay.
I did read the first 2 Justice Leagues. I haven't gotten the next 2 yet.
Okay.
I loved those first 2 issues. I thought they were very well done. Great story. Love seeing the Injustice League or the Legion of Doom, whatever they're going to call themselves, come through.
They're going with Legion of Doom this time.
It was a lot of fun to see that come through again. Nice. I'll take a Legion of Doom any day of the week.
Well, if we're pausing for brief reader recommendations, I would like to recommend the new Doctor Strange series that Marvel has just started up. I did get the first issue of it. It's by Mark Waid and Jesus Saiz, and it's an example of good old-fashioned comic storytelling. It's not the least bit decompressed. I'm not sure how well it ties in with what's been going on in Doctor Strange's continuity over the past couple of creators, if it's rooted in something that Jason Aaron did with him or something. But the basic premise is Doctor Strange has completely lost his magic. Mark Waid is careful to tell us that he's had power fluctuations before, but he's never completely lost his mojo as much as he has here. Mm-hmm. And within the space of a single issue, not only does Mark Waid take a couple of pages to really hammer home the horrific sensation of slowly losing, in effect, a whole section of one's sensorium. Doctor Strange losing his magic is akin to someone losing their sight or their sense of hearing, going slowly blind or deaf. So he communicates that very effectively in the first few pages. But by the end of the issue, Doctor Strange has had a great little interchange with Tony Stark, very well characterized by Waid. And by the end of it, he's gone out into outer space in a borrowed spaceship with a bunch of Stark technology to try and find alien sources of magic. So the series is basically Strange in Space. And so high adventure in outer space with Doctor Strange in an unfamiliar, strange territory, shall we say. And going on this great adventure through the cosmos, trying to regain his knack for sorcery. And it's written by one of the best writers in contemporary comics. So yeah, it's something that's pretty accessible, I think, for someone who's lost touch with the Good Doctor over the past couple of years. It's a good jumping-on point, and I think it's probably going to turn out to be kind of a self-contained arc, with Waid taking Strange into space, letting him get to know what shapes sorcery takes in beyond Earth in the Marvel Universe. And so I do recommend it.
Well, then, let's head up a Muddle the Murd. Once again, time for our trivia contest, where you could win a prize if you muddle the Murd. Ask him questions 3. And the prize right now, we're still giving away some original art. This is the last batch of art from our first batch, if that makes any sense, of original art given to us by our anonymous listener.
How about last round from our first batch?
Thank you, Shane. That's why thanks. So, this last batch from the first round of original art that's up for prize is a Walt Simonson Batman sketch,
nice,
as well as a Zelda Fitzgerald painting from Moritat.
Interesting and eclectic couple of prizes
yes,
there, but one that would grace anybody's collection.
Yes.
So, who is fortunate enough to be playing for this prize pack, Brian?
I'm glad you asked, Adam. That contestant is Derek Moore. He goes, Dear beloved geeks, I am proud to announce that we are now a 2-generation family of comic geeks. I was reading some reprinted Marvel comics from Jack Kirby a few months ago, and my 5-year-old son, Ellie, was curious. Well, I found a graphic novel of the old Devil Dinosaur comics, and, well, combining dinosaurs and comics for a 5-year-old was the golden touch. This inspired me to try and muddle the Murd one more time, as my son was just a baby the last time I was able to achieve such a feat. The questions are as follows, and of course, I have a picture I want to show off first. Please feel free to fawn and announce on the show how cute he is. Aww.
That's awesome.
There's a little sock monkey in the background there, and he's got the devil dinosaur.
Oh, that's great.
All right, so Murd.
I miss those days.
Murd, question 1, DC 1970 to 2000 inclusive. The Devil Dinosaur comics reminded me of my love for Commandy, that crazy last kid on Earth who was just in an excellent DC miniseries that recently ended. In Commandy number 16 in 1974, Commandy visits an experimental lab where he finds out that a certain compound was released simultaneously with the great disaster that caused the rapid evolution of certain animals into the species that now dominate Earth. What is the name of the compound?
The only name I can think of, and I may be jumbling my memories of various Who's Who in the DC Universe entries in which such compounds are mentioned. The name that's coming to mind is cortexin.
Wow.
Cortexin it is!
All right.
Goodness. Kind of anticlimactic from now, but
Whew.
wow.
Oh, goodness. All right, my memories were not jumbled after all.
I hope to hell before something happens to you and you leave this mortal plane that they download your memories somewhere, man. Wow. That is one heck of a back computer.
I don't know. Creating an AI of a technophobe like myself is a bit like... it's going to be like programming self-loathing right into it. I don't know if it'll work out.
That's what would make it even better.
Okay, moving on. Question 2, Independent, 2001 to present. In Letter 44, number 1 from 2013, which is a wonderful series written by Charles Soule, a lot of Vader, and recently concluded, the recently elected and inaugurated president of the U.S. is given a transitional letter by the previous president to pass on wisdom and knowledge. In Letter 44, their transition from the 43rd to 44th president, the new president learns there is some kind of alien installation near Jupiter that has been kept secret for the past 7 years for fear of public panic. What is the name of the newly elected president? A last name is more than enough.
Well, I'll tell you what, in another, 12 years or so, I'm sure I'll know this because I do own the first several issues of Letter 44, but I haven't read them, so...
I've read the first 6, but I don't know it either.
Yeah. So, I guess I'll just be saying a name then. McGillicuddy.
No, it's not McGillicuddy, which, by the way, is a great name. Was that Lucy Ricardo's maiden name?
Oh, it might have been. Oh, boy.
Anyway, the answer is Stephen Blades. All right, question 3, Marvel pre-1970. What's so funny?
I just thought of something from Teen Titans Go.
Well, go ahead. He's already...
Slade!
Okay.
Blades.
In X-Men 34, the X-Men are recruited by Ted Roberts, sometimes Bo, to Jean Grey, to help locate his brother Ralph, a.k.a. the Cobalt Man. Ralph was kidnapped to create a super robot made out to take over the world. Who kidnapped Ralph Roberts?
Star Saxon.
No, I'm sorry. The answer is Tyrannus.
Oh, darn it. Yep, I was nowhere close.
But you got the first question right. So,
Yay, Cortexan!
So, yay, Cortexan.
Slade. Oh,
I don't even know what you're laughing about, but I'm laughing right along with you.
Oh my god. Starfire, they real close up of her face.
This is from the movie, I assume?
Yeah. Oh my god. It was when you said blades that did it.
Fun times.
Oh! God, stupid me.
Stupid you.
I swear all the TV ads and all the things I've seen come up on the computer said Avengers Infinity War came out in total this week.
No, it's only an HD download.
Uh-huh. I went to Target, searching all around, getting ready to go home and watch it with the kids. What the hell is going on? Couldn't find it anywhere. Google, nope, couple more weeks. Curses.
2 weeks.
Foiled again.
You'll be fine.
I know. I was just like, oh, crap. And then I could hear Nelson in the background. I was very disappointed.
All right. Is that going to wrap it up for us here, then? I take that as a yes, then?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, so we're all comic-y talked out. All right, so until next time, Shane, you have all the pertinent information to...
Visit us at comicgeekspeak.com to send us an email. The address is comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. To leave a voicemail, the number is 267-702-6642. Have you ever had a Muddle the Murd by voicemail?
At some point, I believe we
Just
have.
something crossed my mind.
I'm sure there were Stump the Rios that were done that way.
Yeah.
There was even... Rick Croxton sent us a couple of video Stump the Rios.
Yep.
That's correct.
No, just something to think about. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. Thank you to everyone who contributes to the episode and sends anonymous packages out. And as always, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time. And visit comicforums.com. Somehow I skipped over that part.